Lisa. I am back with the third layout using my kit that I assembled. I still have a lot of stuff in my kit. This started out as this Bow Bunny pad from the collection Enchanted Garden, and I think I may have some more pages to go with this because my husband and I just took a trip where we visited a couple of gardens, and I know one day he was wearing a shirt in these colors, and there's like a little brick path paper, and so I have a feeling that I'm not going to disassemble this once I finish this layout. I may keep it around for one or two more. I have not printed the photos from that trip yet, so we'll get to that one later on, but I still got a lot of stuff. And for this third page, I have this photo of my friend and I shopping. It was a selfie. It's not the best photo in the world. It actually shows as much of Hobby Lobby as it does of us. But that was the point. This was our third and the final crafting store in the town that I live closest to and her family's in. And so we were out gathering things to do mixed media, which we have both really taken to. So I want to do somewhat of a mixed media kind of page, and that's why I was drawn to this particular paper early on. Maybe not those bugs, but the butterflies and the dragonflies, and just the fact that it had a mixture of different elements on the paper. There is another paper like that in the collection that I might cut up and do some things with, and then certainly may use some of the other papers in here in some way. On that particular trip, I remember I bought these items that I was thinking of doing some with, maybe with mixed media, but really just on regular scrapbook pages, and I think these would be pretty, especially the beige ones on my page. So I got out the Prima flowers, and what I'm doing is sharing a little bit of my process even before I get to the sketch. So sometimes I look at photos and I've got certain 4x6s or certain sizes, and I maybe lay them out on a piece of cardstock or this basic gray mat or something that's 12x12 and say, okay, well the photos are going here and the title's going here and the journal's going here, and I go draw a sketch and I'm ready to go. Other times it takes a little more planning, and this is one of those. I have these Prima flowers that I've had from the beginning. I don't think I'm going to use the big aqua one. It's large and it doesn't really go with things all that well, but the smaller one I really like. So what I was thinking about was putting the photo all the way over to the very edge of the paper, with this kind of looking out here over the store, and then telling my story through the embellishments and through some journaling maybe down in here, and then putting this flower to balance in the lower right hand corner. Well, I went went paper shopping in my drawers because none of the background papers I pulled out in my kit really appealed to me. I don't have a lot in there, and they just didn't really resonate. I was in the neutrals drawer the other day, and I had a lot of neutrals paper that has accumulated. Some of it is wood grains that I know I will use, but I have some things that have been in there a while, and this is one of them. This is some Amy Tangerine paper that I won in a blog candy, and it has the stitching around the edge and this doily down here, and I picked it because I liked this background, and it was even prettier when I took it out of the package, and I think that's going to go well with all these other papers, this kind of neutral background, but isn't this perfect to house the flower? Then I look at the flower and I think, boy, that's way in the lower right hand corner, and I've got a lot of space. What if I put the flower up here and then maybe do something else for a third grouping? Maybe one of these brads that I have here, or the, one of the hearts and something. So now when I draw the sketch, I'll probably do like 3 things in the lower right hand corner to create the grouping. And I probably wouldn't have put that on the sketch if I had just been going with my initial thoughts. So at this point, I think I am ready to start thinking about what's going to, getting the sketch together, and of course I can always alter that, but, getting a plan for the page. Okay, so I worked up the sketch with some embellishments down here in a group and up here, and maybe one of those little cards, like cutting up some of this or one of these as part of the design. Although now that I'm looking at the card, I'm thinking about using the whole thing, but maybe, I don't really like those bugs, so maybe putting it up a little bit higher and switching one of these papers around and putting something else on top. Let's see. Going through the papers, I like this green. I can trim the top off of that, and the stripe I have not used before, and it has a real pretty edging to it. So once the green's trimmed down, it can lay under the photo and cover up the things I don't like and give me a little bit more color there. With book paper, I like to tear the edges. So this was left over from the last layout with the kit, where I had just taken the misting that was on the stencil and transferred it to some paper so I wouldn't waste it. A lot of it will get covered up here, but you will see maybe a little bit, and certainly the book text. And then I'm starting to pull together some other embellishment, like the little hearts that came from the jewelry department at AC Moore. I'm also searching for some wood veneer pieces, and it took me a while to find them in my stash, as well as going through my thickers and trying to figure out what title I was going to use, because I needed to know how much space it was going to take up and what size it was going to be. The wood veneer pieces, I rearranged them the other day, and I'm not sure my rearrangement's working very well, but I did find them. Those came from Michael's, and I used some thickers for the title. The word treasure in the title has, of course, 2 E's, an A, 2 R's. Difficult to find enough letters in my thickers, so I just cut that with a silhouette, and I cut it in gold paper from Stamping Up, and then in a gray background. And because I realized I needed something that looked like treasure here, so I started to add a little bit of gold touches to the page. Now my journaling, I would love to print on the background, but I no longer have a printer that will print 12 by 12. So I'm going to cheat and get some of that background by taking it out of the area that will be covered up. Sometimes I do this with a ruler. I'm just going to freehand it because I don't need a lot of this really. I'm going to cut out more than I need, and I can trim it down on the paper trimmer and get it evened up nicely. And then I can run it through the printer over I'll just put it on with some removable adhesive to the paper and run it right back through the printer again, and it will print on my cardstock. Then I can trim that down, and I'll have my journaling not quite looking like it was printed on the background, but at least not jumping out in some different color there. Now, I also thought it would be nice to maybe use a doily here, and I don't have a round one. I have all kinds of shaped doilies, but I don't have any round ones. Because I have that image in the lower right hand corner that's a crochet doily, I'm taking a paper doily, and I'm sorry the top got cut off there. You will see that a little bit later on. I'm just taking some of the segments of it and putting it in different places to reinforce that white print down in the lower right hand corner. Back to getting some gold on my paper. Since most of the book paper is going to get covered up, I'm brushing on some Heidi Swapp Color Shine Mist in the gold to the edges of the paper, because the edges didn't have anything on them. They needed something. They needed some ink or something. So I'm just brushing on some mist here, and this will dry nice and pretty in gold. I also want to do something to those wood veneer pieces, as they're very, very plain. And they need something. They need some paint or something. And I decided to stamp something on them. I've got some doily stamps, kind of goes with the whole doily kind of look there, from My Mind's Eye. And I started to stamp them in the same color and realized that it would be better if I stamped them in a contrasting color. So I'm going to use the green because I don't really have any green down in the lower right hand corner. And I decided on Pear Pizzazz. I can't remember if that's still a current color or discontinued color from Stamping Up. It was an in color not long ago. But just a brighter green that goes with that paper. They do need a little something on the edge, so I'll sponge some old paper ink around the edge. Alright, now it's all starting to come together here, except that big green area in the middle is showing up that I don't have anything in there and I need something. I tried the doily, didn't like that. I considered stenciling on it or stamping on it. And then I remembered that I had these cards. I still had a sheet of these that I had not used. The keys are perfect for the kinds of things we were looking for on our outing. And now I'm looking for some of the others here, and I'm just going to cut out and try a few different ones. There's one that's a little postcard It's also, you know, the kind of memorabilia you can put on pages and your mixed media that make it really interesting. And it looks like the postcard is the winner. And there's a place there on that postcard that I could put the date in. So, and I do that. I write the date in at the end. I considered putting some more wood veneer, some things over it, and I decided just to leave it and write the date in. Okay, now I still feel like I need something in down here in the lower right corner, and I'm looking at some of the brads. Those were my Mind's Eye brads. Another thing that I buy from Peachy Cheap when they have a special of a whole bunch of them, because I love brads, and I don't always use the ones with the little cutouts around them, but in this case I think it's going to work well up in the upper right corner. The lower right is still a puzzle to me. I'm still trying different things, brads and stuff. What I finally decided to use though was ribbon. I have some ribbon in my kit, and that would be a different shape instead of another round element, something going across. Okay, so here's our finished page. Worked fairly closely with the sketch. I moved these things around just a little bit and added the doilies to it. Put a little bit more paper over here. This photo in the sketch is a 4x6, and I didn't really quite have a 4x6 up here, so if you had a larger photo you might not have quite as much room, or you could scoot things over a bit. The journaling came out of the background paper, and then did some embellishments down here, and I didn't put a card down here, I put a little ribbon instead. So the sketch served as a guide and just kind of adapted as went through the materials. Show you some close-ups. One thing I thought was neat, once I finished it, I saw the word bounty up here, and we were on a treasure hunt, and bounty kind of went with that. If I'd noticed it sooner, I would probably put that up a little higher, made it a little more noteworthy, but it still is a subtle addition to the topic for the page. So we got our paper from the for the background out of the back, and when this goes in my album you won't see that background. If it were a page I were giving to somebody else I'd probably cover that with some other paper, but for me it's fine. Out of the kit I got the Bow Bunny papers, some of my letters here, and this flower and the ribbon, and then I added, and then I added several other things that were not part of the kit to make the page really tell the story. Now here are the other two pages that I did with that kit. So you can see this one, very different colors, and then this one. So we've got three really different pages here out of the same materials. And I've got a lot of stuff left in this kit, and I'll probably just leave it assembled the way it is for a little while, because I have some more photos from a recent trip that I haven't developed yet, and I think there may be some things to use with that. So I'm going to wait till those are developed before I break this back down, because as I say, I have a lot of stuff already pulled together. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you'll check out the other videos, and if you like the video, I'd love to get a thumbs up, and love to read your comments. Be sure and check out my blog for classes and products that I have available, sketches and the stencil class and the 2-page terrific and the creative cardstock class. Thanks again.